What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. And if you guys are new here, this is the place for everything about GTA 6, news, leaks, updates, all of it. And pretty much today we're going to be talking about something that has the entire GTA community buzzing, and that is going to be how to play GTA 6 before it actually launches on November 19th. So pretty much, a quick recap for anybody, who doesn't know what I'm talking about. Pre-orders for GTA are officially live right now. And after everything we have been through, the delays, the leaks, the trailers, etc., we finally have a release date locked in, which will be November 19th, 2026. So that is going to be less than 6 months away as of filming this video. So pretty much, it does feel honestly surreal to say out loud because this game has been just so highly anticipated and people have been waiting for so long. But pretty much where it actually gets interesting is that there is a well-known exploit on the PlayStation Store that allows some people to pretty much get into Vice City early, and this is how it works. So on PS5 you are allowed to create multiple user profiles, and when you set one up, you pretty much choose a country for that profile. So what people are doing is they're going to create a brand new profile. They're going to use an email that has never touched PSN before. You're going to fill in some details for a different region, and then you want to specifically pick New Zealand. Now, why New Zealand is because of time zones. So New Zealand sits anywhere from 16 to 21 hours ahead of most of the US, ahead of most, of United States, depending on the state and the time of year. So when midnight hits in New Zealand on November 19, it is still November 18 back home for most of us, so back home in the States. And pretty much what that means is if you set your console region to New Zealand, the digital store and the games unlock timer think it is already launch day there, even though it is not launch day for us technically yet. So, and if you're in Europe watching this, you're not left out either, because New Zealand is usually about 10 to 12 hours ahead of most of Europe. So you could realistically be driving around Leonidas on your lunch break on November 18th while, everybody's still refreshing their countdown timers waiting for midnight. But I want to be upfront about you guys. This is not like some official early access program. There's no special edition that unlocks the game sooner. And Rockstar has definitely not announced anything like that either. This is pretty much just a time zone workaround using how digital storefronts handle regional unlock times. It is pretty much like the same basic trick people have been using for years with other big releases, where a game technically unlocks earlier in certain regions because of how far ahead they are on the clock. So we have seen smaller versions of this with other major releases in the past. So where someone in Australia or New Zealand posts gameplay footage hours before the rest of the world even wakes up, and it always does cause a stir online. Is it against the rules? It's honestly a bit of a gray area because it's not technically hacking, it's not piracy. You are still buying the game legitimately. You're just kind of like exploiting how regional time zones interact with digital storefronts. So Rockstar could absolutely patch this kind of thing before launch if they wanted to, since a lot of publishers do add server-side checks specifically to prevent regional time zone unlocks. So do not be shocked if this window gets closed before November rolls around. And honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if we see some kind of statement from Rockstar or Sony closer to launch addressing it directly. But as of right now, this is still available. And anyways, let's also talk about what you're actually getting when you pre-order, because this matters if you're thinking about doing this. Since right now there are multiple editions live, so there is two editions specifically, standard and ultimate. And the ultimate edition comes with a chunk of bonus content along with a free month of GTA Plus included. So depending on how you value that subscription, the price gap between editions might make a lot more sense than it looks at first glance. That said, some fans are already not thrilled because there is content that appears to be locked behind that more expensive tier, and you know how the community feels about anything that smells like it's a nickel and diming people on a $60, $70, $80 game. But I'll put a link up top if you do want my full breakdown on what's actually in the Ultimate Edition versus Standard Edition, because there is a lot to unpack here, and yeah. But anyways, and if you guys are a PC player as well, you guys will not be getting GTA 6 for quite some time after the initial launch. Now, we don't know how long that actually will be. It could be a month, it could be a few months, it could be a year, etc. But pretty much, you guys will be getting the short end of the stick here, because it is definitely not going to launch alongside PS5 and Xbox, so you will definitely be waiting longer. So that's why a lot of the console prices have gone up. A regular PS5's price, I believe I saw the other day, is about $800. Some people that's how they're selling it for, because everybody knows that consoles are going to be high demand right now for GTA 6, especially for PC players who don't have a console. So they're definitely going to be looking for one most likely. And pretty much, real talk, would I personally do this method of, this time zone hack to play GTA 6 early? I would not, and this is mainly because, setting up a fake profile, lying about my region just to play a few hours early. I think a lot of us, the appeal isn't really about gaining some massive advantage since it is also just story mode. It's not like you could play online and just start grinding right away. It's just going to be story mode or the campaign pretty much. So, I don't think there's like any major reason to do that. You might as well just wait and, because I feel like there's something to be said for being able to just sit down on a Wednesday afternoon, relaxed, coffee in hand, and just finally be able to step into the story after waiting so long, instead of just running on 4 hours of sleep because you stayed up at, midnight launch. But pretty much, I also think there is some kind of fun about experiencing it live with everyone else as well. And, the server struggling, your group chat blowing up in real time, and just, comparing first impressions as they happen. I feel like that's like a shared hype in midnight launches that you do lose a little bit if you go off and do this on your own a day early. So, either way, November 19, 2026 is going to be one of the biggest days gaming has seen in years, maybe ever, regardless of whether you play it at midnight on the dot or you find your way into Leonidas a little ahead of schedule. But let me know in the comments, guys, are you going to try the New Zealand trick, or are you the type who wants to hear experience launch date exactly when everyone else does? I want to hear it. Anyways, guys, if you are new here, please do subscribe, hit the bell icon, and all the good stuff, because now in November, I'm going to be covering every single piece of GTA 6 news the second it drops. And thanks for watching, guys. I will see you in the next one.